Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm not Jeff. Hi, this is Andrew.
Yeah, Jeff, on another string of bad luck, has...
Coughed a hole into his lungs, or throat.
Throat, yeah. He wasn't sure. He started coughing up blood on Friday. Wasn't sure where it was from. Went to the hospital. Turns out his bronchitis coughed a hole in his throat, which then, due to his blood thinners from his broken leg, had the potential to be serious. And so he went to the doctor, and apparently they said, hey, you shouldn't, talk for hours on end on a podcast until your throat heals. So he's medically ordered to not participate.
You remember that time you guys were laughing at how bad his voice sounded?
Yes.
On the podcast? Jerks.
I don't feel bad.
Yeah, I don't feel bad.
It was appropriate then, and I stand by it.
He wasn't coughing blood then, so it's fine.
If he had been, we would have politely asked him to leave.
Really, it was after his Blood Bowl game he started coughing up blood, so we can blame Blood Bowl on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's right there in the name.
Exactly.
It ruins everything.
Yeah.
Friendships, lives, game nights, everything.
There we go. We've just reviewed Blood Bowl.
Yep. So real quick before we get too much into this is a Wednesday episode, and those are sponsored by our sponsors, Gray Fox Games. So now we can continue with everything because we've mentioned that part of things.
Thank you, Gray Fox.
Yeah. Jeff continues the trend of having the worst luck on the planet. Compounding interest of shit.
Yeah. Given that he's the only person on this podcast, regularly on this podcast, that has kept down a job the entire time of the podcast, I'm not sure he has the worst luck here.
Whoa. None of the jobs that I've lost since starting this podcast had anything to do with luck. It was all shitty job performance and attitudes.
Yeah.
Sometimes the shitty job performance and attitude was my own.
Uh-huh.
Other times it was others. But, it's... Yeah.
It's not down to luck.
It is not a luck base. It's not like some manager's rolling a dice to see if I get to keep my job today.
That's why you hate dice, isn't it?
Yes. I've been fired by so many dice. Yeah, so true. He is, I will give Jeff credit. He is the best among the podcast at holding down a job regularly.
I mean, he did switch jobs, but that was his own volition.
Right.
And he had the new one lined up before he left the old one.
Yeah, that's a key
Yeah.
skill to have.
Meanwhile, I was like, hey, you made me a job offer. I'm quitting my current job.
Yeah.
That's close enough to having one lined up.
Mm-hmm.
It worked out. 3 weeks in, still don't hate my new job. Still really like my new job even. I can come home from a 12-hour shift and not be just completely fucking miserable and hate everything.
Yeah.
I come home and cook.
Whoa.
I know.
And just the normal amount of it, hating everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I still hate the world
Yeah.
and the people in it.
Yeah.
But my life, on the other hand, I no longer hate. I'm back to at least neutral on my life.
Yeah.
You're not doing self-loathing, you're just at loathing.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It's the first step on my long, slow journey back from the deep, deep pit of cynicism that I've been in for the last year. I'm not out of it yet. Don't expect me to not be. Trust me, we're going to talk about Kickstarters later. You're going to get plenty of Cynic Adrian coming through in there. But I'm on the mend. I'm recovering.
I want to go into a brief history of the word cynic here, but we won't.
Well, how brief?
Greek philosophy comes from a guy named Diogenes the Cynic. He was called that because he acted like a dog, like literally having sex in public and defecating and all of that.
It's tracking for Adrian, yeah.
Yeah,
so, right
there. He was the original cynic, and yeah, there you go. That's where the term cynic comes from.
There we go.
So I do not track so I get the Diogenes was the first cynic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get how that has to do with where the term cynic comes from.
I
was hoping for more etymology.
Because it's from the Greek word for dog.
Oh, okay.
Because he acted like a dog in public.
Okay.
He lived in a barrel in the main plaza of Athens, and when I think it was Alexander the Great was the one that supposedly came to visit this great philosopher and asked him for advice, and Diogenes just looked up at him and asked him to get out of his sunlight. Like, move, you're blocking the sun. Like, the only guy that could say that to Alexander the Great.
Nice.
Interesting. So this says, what website is
Am I completely wrong?
No, you're not completely wrong. This says that it originated 1540 to 1550 from Latin Cynicus, Cynic philosopher, from the ancient Greek kainikos, literally dog-like or currish. But I don't, because this other one up here says from the name of a gymnasium where Antisthenes, yeah, I think that's how you say it, taught, but popularly taken to mean dog-like churlish. I mean, I am churlish. I will own that. So, tracks.
There you go.
It tracks. I've shit in the street before. No,
Have you ever masturbated in public?
No, I have not masturbated in public. I've not fallen that far down the rabbit hole.
Not a true cynic.
Sorry. We're no longer in the Ask Me Anything.
So I've been up to nothing really since the last episode. I worked on my truck Monday and Tuesday. It is repaired, but it is not fixed. I'm pretty sure my transmission is indeed going to end up shot. Driving it to work on Saturday and Sunday seems sketchy at best. Yeah, that's all I got. I worked on my truck on my days off, and then I went back to work. And I work long shifts, and so I don't do a lot else when I work. That's what I've been up to. What have you guys been up to?
I had my big spring cleaning day this last weekend, and we did not get nearly all of it done. I'm going to have more spring cleaning days ahead of me, so that's exciting.
Did you take the Marie Kondo
philosophy? We did that last summer.
That was okay.
We before the TV show. Before the TV show happened, we have
a condo hipster here.
Yeah, seriously. But no, this time it's mostly just like washing down everything, like doing a deep clean of like the walls and the baseboards and like, Windexing the windows inside and out, that sort of like deep clean, beating all the rugs.
You're a better adult than I am.
I mean, I've been in this house for 3 years, and this is the first spring cleaning that we've had, so you've got some time.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I just cleaned my cat's litter box, so I'm right there with you.
We came close the other day. Megan had some nurse friends over to do a Pitch Perfect marathon.
Oh, yeah.
And
why was I not invited?
They kept it nurse and women only. I don't know if they specifically kept it women only or if the only friends of Megan's from the hospital that wanted to come watch Pitch Perfect all happened to be women, but it ended up being all women. And Megan she's way more self-conscious, I guess, maybe, than I am about the state of our home. So she was like, I'm having my friends come over, so we need to clean even more than normal.
I have some dignity, sir.
Yes, yeah, exactly. She's got some self-worth, I think would be a better way to put that. A sense of propriety and decency that I completely lack. So we did go through a pretty solid cleaning. The most amazing part for me was when I took the cushions off the couch to try and clean them of dog hair, which is a nigh impossible task.
Yeah.
And so you just flip them over. And
they're unfortunately not double-sided.
Still do it.
And it wouldn't have worked either because when I pulled them off, the layer of dog hair that had gotten down underneath the cushions and then just like was coating the inside of the couch. That couch will never be free of Jester's hair at this point. It is truly amazing how much hair. Like I had to call Megan down. I was like, you have to see this. Like it, if I hadn't been using a vacuum and it actually just picked it up, it would have been the size of another small dog. It was ridiculous. So much dog hair. She does not like the vacuum also. She doesn't like go crazy and bark at it and like act really weird around it, but she definitely acts different when the vacuum's going.
Yeah.
It's more a concern, like she wants to get to me. I think she thinks the vacuum is attacking me. And so she tries to get over by me to be like, hey, it's okay.
I got your back, buddy.
Like, no, Jester, it's not. I'm actually using a vacuum. This is a low point in the day for me. But, so cleaning all around, I guess. Litter boxes, dog hair, whole houses.
Yeah.
What about you, Zach? Anything exciting going on in your life?
Nothing too much. I started playing, so I'm a big fan of roguelike games. And there's one that recently came out in early access called Risk of Rain 2 that is apparently like it's a sequel of a 2D game where it's like a cooperative shooter. You're just going around shooting shit. And so this one is a 3D version of it. And I bought it on a whim. I'd never played the first one at all. I had just seen it came out on Steam and was like, hey, the response so far has been overwhelmingly positive. And it was if you buy it by like noon tomorrow, you get an extra copy for free. And I was like, it's $20. I like these style. I watched a video and I was like, that sounds cool. I'll try it out. And it has been a lot of freaking fun so far.
Who got the extra copy?
No one has the extra copy yet. Then Adrian,
smile.
if you start playing a game, I can't play it anymore. So
Because I just pulled up some images of it. It actually looks kind of cool.
it is
Kind of an interesting art style.
Yeah.
It's a
I was
shame-
planning on giving it to Jeff, but he's not here, so I might end up having to give it to you.
Haha, suck it, Jeff.
It's a shame the visual. This is not a visual medium because the like expectant smile on Adrian's face was pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know
but
a
basically,
guy.
you start with one class is just basically like an astronaut looking dude with dual pistols. But then as you unlock more and more, you can get like this archer, a robot, and then like a swordsman.
Hang on a second.
Yes.
You go from pistols to a bow, and that's an improvement?
Yes.
That was my thought too.
Yes. Well, my favorite guy is the swordsman in this. So, but it's because you can do 4-player co-op in this, and as you play, the longer you get, like you'll unlock more items and stuff that'll make you shoot faster, move quicker, like shoot electricity out of your head and stuff like that. But it gets harder. Like there's a tracker that you see as time goes on. It goes from like easy, medium, hard, insane to like I see you and impossible, and then it just starts laughing, ha ha, and it's really freaking difficult once you get farther along.
Right.
But it's been a lot of fun so far.
Is it a roguelike?
Yes.
Okay.
And so as you do certain things, you will get a chance for them to be unlocked during the game, but it's you're building, quote unquote, building out your character throughout it, and it's like there are hooves that make you fast, and it's like I always try and get like as many of them as I can. Like I've gotten like 10 hooves in there, and so that like I'm just sprinting across the entire fucking map. It was ridiculous
With a sword in your hand.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But that's basically, once that came out, that's pretty much all I've been doing, except the Game of Thrones season 8 starts in 2 weeks, and so I've started to rewatch the entire series. So
my wife and I are gonna do a rewatch of all of the like plot critical MCU movies before Endgame comes out. So we are not big movie watchers, so the plan to like watch 5 movies in
Okay, which ones do you have?
Avengers 1, 2, and 3, and the second and third Captain Americas. I think are really the only ones that are super critical to the overarching plot. Of the MCU.
Is the second Captain America really fall in that?
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier? I think. I mean, it's the end of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I guess.
I would say it's not critical for Thanos's thing. I mean, it's still my favorite movie out of all of them, so I would still say watch it. But
right.
Have you seen all of them? Or
yes. Okay. I mean, not the Incredible Hulk.
That's fine. You could. That is the least important movie out of all of them.
Yeah, but I think all of the rest of them I have seen, and she's not interested in seeing any of the ones that like. She's seen like all but 2 or 3, I think.
Gotcha. Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yep.
Okay.
We've seen that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that one's almost more plot critical towards Endgame than.
Well, but we did just see.
Yeah, they just saw it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fair enough.
And
it's on
like,
Netflix.
I don't know that that's super plot critical except for the final scene.
I would say that it introduces the quantum realm, and like it dives into that, and I think that's going to be important for Endgame. So
Okay.
I would say it's like introducing concepts more than like
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Endgame. I'm surprised tickets aren't available yet.
Yeah.
Paul was bitching about that on Slack the other day.
I mean, he had to have something.
Not the other day, like every day. It seems like
it does seem like every other every day.
Yeah.
He hits refresh. Like they're still not available. Better go bitch on Slack.
Yep.
I mean, he doesn't have anything better to bitch about on Slack. So,
True.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a good Paul
Ofer
complain. Paul Ofer, Paul Chad, Paul Boyd. Really, Paul V. Just any name from the Slack channel. Yeah. Cool. Well, let's talk about board games on this board game podcast. Zach, what have you been playing recently?
Well, the couple things that I've been playing recently are pretty much all of it was included with you two. So the thing I'll talk about that I didn't play with you guys is Glory to Rome, because we were supposed to play Kingdom Death Monster on Sunday. One of the guys, Dan, he's getting married this week, and then
lame.
Yeah, and then he'll have a honeymoon. So like this was like it was going to be today, Sunday, and then like a 3 week to 1 month break.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were going to do that, but then Jeff got sicker and didn't
fall off the face of the word.
Yeah, like a lot of times when he gets sick, he's just like, I'm just not gonna respond to anything. And
I don't know you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sounds about right.
And so Dan didn't have as much time as he previously thought. I guess he didn't let his fiance know beforehand, like that it was gonna be Kingdom Death, and she's like, if you play that, I'm gonna kill you. And he's like, okay, well I'll just go and play something quick then. And so we played Glory to Rome, which this is a game like from 4 to 5 years ago, I think.
Yeah, when you first mentioned it, I thought you meant Fall of Rome.
Oh no,
the new pandemic.
No. So this was the black box, so a Kickstarter edition of it, and it's like it's out of print and pretty sought after. Like we were looking at the price, and I think the last one that was sold on BGG was like sold for like $200 and something. I
mean, that's worth it.
And
clearly,
it's a card game basically. So what it is? Did you play that Food Truck Champion game with us at all?
No.
Okay. Well, it's basically that is Glory to Rome, more or less. It's you have a bunch of multi-use cards, so it's like you're trying to build a building. It has like a statue on it, but then it has on the bottom it says like, oh, marble, and then it's like, this is it can be used as marble material if you have it if you tucked it in a certain spot. There's a clientele thing on the side that's like the ability that you can use. You can tug it on the left side, and then that's what you're using. It's basically the multi-use cards are like, a whole bunch of different things you can do with them depending on where they are on your board. And each round, somebody, whoever the leader is, plays a card, and that basically, so say they want to do the laborer, which is like getting materials and put it in your stockpile, and then everybody else can choose to follow that by playing another labor card, or they can have a laborer clientele on the left that lets them follow without having to play a card.
Okay.
And then you can also choose to think, which is just draw cards. You're basically, I'm not doing that. But it just goes around and you're collecting cards and you're trying to build cards, and like certain things that require rubble only take like 1 material, whereas like stone and marble take 3 material worth of things, but they tend to be worth more and stuff like that.
Sure. And
it's all about playing, like getting a card engine going that lets you do a bunch of shit when other people are trying to do things.
Okay.
And I basically got put in a situation where I had a whole bunch of clientele that let me do things that I didn't care about anymore. And the things I needed to do, which were craftsman and an architect, which are basically building buildings. So either putting a foundation or using material to fill to construct the building. I needed those cards, and nobody else was playing them because I had a lot of stockpile, like different material on the bottom.
Want to give you stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I just got put in a position where I couldn't advance my stuff at all, and nobody else was going to help me do it. And so I was definitely last going to the end of the game, but then Paul ended up winning because there's a card that's like, if you build this and you have whatever requirements it asks, you just win immediately. And Paul ended up doing that, but I was okay with it because I was just like, I just want this to be over with.
Was it a bad game or
no?
Bad play?
It's not a bad game. It's just one of the things where like I realized that I was doing shit wrong in the beginning, and it sort of fucked me, and there wasn't a way for me to really come out at the end. And I mean, so the quality of the game in terms of like the components and stuff as the card game was good. And it's now note, it has been a while since we played that the food truck champion game. But I felt like I got the same feeling out of that as I did with this one, the Glory to Rome. But Paul was like, this one felt a lot more like a lot cleaner and more in depth, which I have heard that as well. That there's definitely more strategy going on here than in the food truck champion game.
Food Truck Champion, from what I understand, it's basically Glory to Rome Light with a different theme.
Yes, that is very true.
I mean, if you just keep all of the food trucks Mediterranean, it should be fine.
But yeah, overall, I was okay on it. I would try it again, but I was like, it's sort of a bad play in the beginning, but also it made me feel a lot about a lot like the food truck champion. In which case, for that one, I was still like, meh, it's okay. Like interesting mechanisms, but I just wasn't interested in the game itself as much. So
yeah, I think that is the game that Edward says he has acquired and then gotten rid of the most. Like he's had like 4 different copies of the black box Glory to Rome edition, because he'll get it and then he'll play it a bit and be like, and then kind of move it and then be like, and then a while later, like another opportunity to get it will come up and it'll be like, oh yeah, I guess I haven't played that in a long time. And then he gets it and then he moves it. And so like they've always seemed pretty lukewarm on it over there. Although like they use Glory to Rome instead of like fuck you on the live streams, because that game apparently elicits a lot of that. So they have a Glory to Rome counter. So anytime you're playing a game on a live stream and you want to say fuck you for like taking a spot, you just say Glory to Rome.
Okay.
And then
that makes
and then mark it on the board.
Okay. And that makes sense because in this one of the abilities you can do is a legionary action, which is basically Rome demand, like you basically reveal a card that's like wood, and you're like, Rome demands wood. And then everybody else has to give you a wood card from your hand. And if you don't have one, you just say Glory to Rome. So basically, fuck you. Like,
yep. Yeah, I don't know.
I would say try it out, but it's
never been like I've had a vague interest in it for a while. Like I am curious about them. It's multi-use cards.
Yeah.
Like I mean, that's kind of the whole shtick for the gameplay.
How long was it?
It took us like with teaching an hour and a half or so, and it's a 60-minute game, I think. So
okay.
Yeah, I think it can actually move pretty quick.
Okay.
With people who know the game.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like something that I'd be fine to do in like half an hour to an hour, but not much more than that. I don't know.
So I don't know. I'll definitely give it a try sometime.
Yeah. It's definitely so it has a leader card that you pass to whoever is doing something, and you really need that because especially in the beginning there are so many times where like, all right, well Andrew just did his thing, and so it's my turn, and it was like, no, wait, that was Adrian's thing, and Andrew was just leading, or he was following Adrian's action. So now it's Andrew's turn to lead, and so yeah, it can be confusing.
Yeah,
especially because it can play up to 5 people. That seems like that could get very confusing very quickly if you don't keep up on that. So
yeah, a lot of games like Galler's can get into that a little bit with the follow and kick out actions and things like that. But yeah.
And then anything else I played, you guys already played. So take it away, one of you.
Yeah. I'll go next, and then Andrew, you can go last since you'll probably have more because you haven't been on the show in a while.
Right.
So you can mix in some other things that aren't the most recent. For myself, I haven't got to really play much. Like I said, I was working on my truck most of my days off, and then I worked 12-hour shifts all weekend. But at game night, we finally got Caylus played. So we're going to be reviewing that pretty soon since Wyatt sent us that. D Wyatt over on Twitter sent me Caylus. He sent Jeff High Frontier, and Zach will ostensibly maybe get something at some point. But we decided we're going to review it. I mean, it's a classic worker placement game.
Wait, what did you say Jeff got? The Expanse?
I said High Frontier, didn't I?
Yes,
I meant the Expanse.
Yeah, those are two very different games.
Two very different games that are both set in space. There's the end of the similarities.
Yep.
But Caylus it's an older game. It's from like 2003, something like that.
2005 is what it says on BGG. I don't know if that's when it first came out, or
it might be 2005, but early 2000s. Really one of the early worker placements. And so we decided it'd be a good one to review. And I really like playing it, so I was happy to force Zach and Jeff into it.
Were you?
Oh yeah. Well, I was, and then I made a critical error. But we played a 4-player game of it, and in Caylus, one of the key mechanisms is there's a provost token that you can move on each round. Like one person, there's an action space to move at 3, and then everybody in the order you pass has the opportunity to pay 1 money to move it up to 3 spaces, and you can move it either forward or backward along the track. And basically, when you're resolving actions on the track, you stop when you get to the provost. So if you spend a bunch of money and move it up the track, you can just cancel actions that people had selected earlier in the action selection round. So it can be really, really mean and punishing, which is something I should have taken into consideration when I decided to force Zach and Jeff to play it with me, because they like to fuck me in board games. It brings them an immense amount of joy and pleasure.
Well, also, I know that if I play games with Adrian and someone doesn't do that, he'll win more often than not. So you just gotta.
But that's how people treat you too.
Yeah.
Like when you have all three of you in a game, like everybody needs to be beating down on everybody else.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we played a 4-player game. I got dead last. Well, I tied. I barely pulled out a tie for third aka last.
Yeah.
And then of all things, Jeff won. And he didn't do it in his normal fashion where he just won by a mile. He eked out a win over Zach.
Yeah. So much so that after we were done, I was just like, man, this game feels broken or something. And then what was great is that I apparently said it in enough of a deadpan way that Adrian was just like, what do you think was broken about it? And he's like, he legitimately concerned. And then I was just like, I mean, Jeff won. So he's just like, oh, God damn it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think like I was putting it away and I was like, so what do you guys think? And you're like, I don't know. I think it must be broken or something. I was like, wait, what? What? What do you mean it's broken here? Jeff,
it was a close game.
Won.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So I think that's now the 4th or 5th time Paul's heard that joke.
Yeah.
I'm curious if it's still funny for him.
Yes, we'll see.
But I do still really like Caylus. Before reviewing it, though, I will have to play at least one game separate from you and Jeff with people who don't have that predetermined, you know, kick Adrian early and often so that he doesn't win everything attitude. And then I just have to, now I remember that. And so I know that on the first round of the game, I shouldn't put a marker right next to the guy.
You put 2 markers. That's what it was. You put 2 that were right next to him.
Yeah.
And that's where I was just like, well, obviously we have to do that.
So.
Just asking for it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He was asking us to be nice. He was asking for mercy, and he knows we don't have any.
None.
No.
Then we played some cribbage, which Zach and I won handily. Or no, it wasn't you and I. What were the teams in that? No, did we play a 3-player game? We played a 3-player game.
We played a 3-player game with Wes.
Yeah. Or could have sworn we played partners.
There's been a lot of cribbage played.
Yes.
There's
been so much cribbage played.
Yeah.
No, we did. Oh, no, we did play partners because Sean was there.
Yeah.
Yes. And it was you and me, and then Wes and Sean.
There's no way that makes sense, though. Oh, yeah, because Wes is more experienced than I am.
Yes.
That's right. And we won.
Yes.
We won substantially.
Yeah.
And then there was a game of hand and foot that was really the highlight of the entire Wednesday.
Oh, I'm sure.
For 2 reasons. One, we lost by 30 points. It was one of the closest games of hand and foot I've ever seen.
So, for reference, it was 9,450 to 9,420, I think, was the final score.
Yes.
So 30 points is really
technically
close.
should have played another hand because you do play to 10,000.
Yeah.
But we'd been playing for long enough and people were starting to get there and we wanted to play other things. So we had agreed going into that hand. It was a close game. And so like, we'll call it after this hand.
Yep.
Something I immediately regret because I lost by 30 fucking points. However, a turn before that,
well done, sir.
we ended up having a chance, me and my partner who is new to the game and whose name I cannot remember, we actually had a hand where we went through our hand, through our feet, and went out before you guys were even able to lay down.
Yes. Yeah. And it wasn't through lack of trying because I literally was...
You had lain down.
Well, so what it was is that I drew... Somebody threw down a 9 and I had a bunch of 9s in my hand and I was like, oh, sweet. And then I drew from the discard pile and then I drew from the top and I'm like, all right, I just need 1 card. And it was literally, I needed a Queen of Hearts to lay down. And then I drew and it was a fucking Queen of Hearts. And I was like, oh, fuck yes. And so I laid down my entire hand, which was like, an open book of 7s, 9s. And then I had a run of it was of hearts of 9,
Ace, King, Queen, Jack 10.
Yes,
like you needed the Queen to make the 5-card run.
And so I laid down, and then Adrian goes, "Oh, because at this point, it was late enough in the game that we needed 150 points to lay down because early in the game you only need
55. It has 55. Or no, just 50.
50.
Yeah. Sorry, because 55 is the minimum hand size or hand value.
Right.
But yeah, you need 50 and then 90 and then 120 and then 150.
150.
Depending on where your score is.
So we were at past 6,000. So we needed 150. And then Adrian looks at me and goes, I'm pretty sure that's 145 points. And then I look down.
Well, at first you were like, yeah, real funny, because we joked about that earlier.
Right.
And I was like, no, I'm serious, Zach. That's 145 points.
And I looked down and it was 145 points. And I was like, God damn it.
Yeah.
And so then I ostensibly threw my hand down just to be like, all right, I'm going to go get a drink. And then when I came back, you guys had already went into your hand, like went through your hands, went into your feet, and then went out. And then
we had like one turn after that. I think.
Yeah, because I think after your almost lay down, my partner did lay down. Then on my turn, I played into my foot, and then on his turn, he was in his foot or played into his foot or something. And then when it came back around to me, I went out.
Yeah.
It was just all around one of the fastest rounds I've ever seen. And then for the fact that we were able to go out before you even laid down was mind blowing.
Yeah.
Amazingly enough, you guys only went negative like 400 points.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Because our hands and feet didn't have much in the way of wilds or threes.
Hence why it took so long for us to lay down.
Yeah.
And the fact that my entire hand was only worth 145.
Yeah.
And then I went into my feet. We didn't have any threes.
Right.
And it was all like 5, 6s, fours and 4s through 7s.
You had almost no wilds, Andrew.
No, none at all.
So
it
was one of those, like, the same thing that made it possible for us to do that limited how bad it would hurt you, but it's always one of those where it's because your feet, you never know. Like, maybe you just chose poorly. Maybe your foot had 3 red 3s and a pair of jokers, and you would have had a ton of points in it.
Yeah.
But your feet were as bad as your hands in that one. But it was a lot of fun. It was even, and then you guys got way ahead, and then we had that hand, and we caught up. Then we did that last hand, and you guys... And that was another weird one, because I went out on the last hand. My partner had picked up his foot, and so he was looking at his foot. And I was like... And I drew, and the way I drew, I had 3 2s. And it was like, well, either I play one and discard one to Zach, which he'll love. That's a 20-point wild card.
Yeah.
Or I just play all 3 of them and go out. And I chose that option, and then we lost by 30.
Yep.
I think we would have actually lost more if I'd played, because we looked, and you would have taken my 2, and the top card was like another 2.
Yeah, and I would have been able to play through my entire hand, and then my foot was like I would have been able to play through the majority of that. So yeah.
So it was good though. Nice to play some hand and foot.
Yeah.
That's everything I've played. Andrew, it's been a while since you've been on the show. What have you played lately?
Well, let's see. I the week before that, I got in some Flatline. I played 2 games of Flatline recently. That's that's one of those things that I'm not totally against new games, but I am really dying to go back to some of the games that I enjoyed that only had like a 1-month lifespan, and then we've forgotten about them. And I'm like, no, I really like that. Let's get back to it. And Flatline was one of those. And so getting back to, getting 2 games of it in was really nice. Have not won either of them. It's a really hard game.
Yes, it is.
Significantly harder than Fuse, the prequel or the predecessor.
Yep.
The original, and Flatline is the sequel. So that was a lot of fun. I've played it both at 4 and at 3. And on the not super basic, but still the moderately easy level. And it was still at the end it was how is this, how does this game get harder than it already is? But it's a lot of fun. It it's the thrilling oh god, which dice do I need from Fuse plus actual depth, and okay, we need to strategize, focus on this and this and this, and you have time to talk about it at the same time. And then right after our game of hand and foot, I played with Wes and Paul. We continued our game of Seventh Continent that we have been playing for, it seems like about a year now.
A long time.
Yeah.
Do you know how many sessions roughly?
I would guess about 6 sessions.
I
usually
more than that.
Usually at game night. If it's more than that, it's not more than 7 or 8.
Okay.
But
this is the one you guys started after you kicked me out, right? Because we were originally doing a 4-player, and then
no, because it started as a 2-player. It started just me and Paul.
Okay.
And then we added Wes later, I think. It's been so long now, but I'm pretty sure that's how it happened. But yeah, we after it's at least 12 hours worth of play, we lost, and that's that was super frustrating. Like, I really enjoy the gameplay of it, and I like the exploring, and I like the hard choices, and being, having it be tense and oh crap, are we gonna make it? Are we gonna make it? But to play that long and not have any kind of payoff for it, nope, you die. That's it, game over. Was deeply unsatisfying.
Gotcha.
So, I told Paul that I would play if he figured out which one of the other scenarios was a shorter one.
I heard that was the long, that one is the long one.
Yeah.
And then the other ones are definitely shorter.
All right. So in this scenario, we had a goal of getting 5 trophies and then getting back to one of the statues that is occasionally around the map. And we had gotten 2 trophies after that long of playing.
Yeah.
So that was super, super long. So yeah, I really enjoyed the time. I don't regret having played it, but and I'll give it another chance on a shorter scenario. But that was a deeply unsatisfying ending, given, I want to know how it ends positively, but also we should get something, even if we didn't win, we should get something for having put that much time and investment into it. So yeah, 6 sessions, 14 hours. That's a long time to play.
To just then lose and be done.
Yeah. And not get in other sort of campaign games, you'd get get some experience points or things like that. You'd get something out of it. This one, no, you lost. And that's how the game is. It's not, you're not carrying characters over from scenario to scenario. It's not a legacy. It's not a campaign in the same way. But yeah, it's a long time to invest.
Yes. You really have to want to go into it for the story and just be oh, we had this cool story and then we died on the island.
Yeah.
And it was the end of the story.
Right. I think, that may be one thing I'll try next time is actually thinking of it more as a 19th century adventure novel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do also remember Paul said that he felt the end was super questionable because you went into an area and you read that there were a bunch of snakes all around.
Oh, in the cave, yeah.
In the cave. There were snakes everywhere.
Right.
And there was something where, I don't remember the exact mechanisms of the game, but it didn't cost you anything to look at a card or to do something.
Usually it costs you a card to do an action.
Yeah. And apparently both you and Wes were totally on board with, it's a free thing. We should look at it. But I was like, dude, we're in a cave full of snakes. It's going to be a snake bite. And then it was a snake bite.
Yeah.
And then that was the beginning of the very end for you guys.
I mean, the fact that we walked through this entire cave and there was no food anywhere in it was a real problem for us to begin with. The snake bite hurt, but it was neither necessary nor sufficient for what lost us the game. It was, it contributed, but it wasn't the nail in the coffin. It wasn't the first thing. So.
Okay, cool. Right on. Well, that wraps up what we're playing. Since Jeff isn't here, there is no Bloody Minute. And even if he was here, I don't think there's one this week anyway, because I still don't think he's played.
He did. He played right before.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
He was on his way to come play games with us after Blood Bowl when he tore a hole in his throat coughing.
Yep.
Or the hole that he had previously torn started.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He just shouldn't have coughed so much.
Yeah.
Obviously.
That's really, yeah.
Clearly. But yeah, so I guess when he returns, hopefully next week, there will be a Bloody Minute then, but not one now. So we can move on to some news and Kickstarters. News was a pain in the dick this week because it's Monday and we were putting together our news segment, and it also happens to be April 1st. And so there was a whole bunch of fake fucking board game news.
I almost thought about, because I'm sure people remember last year, Adrian fell for the Fields of Mars.
Sure did.
Yeah.
Hook, line, and sinker.
And so I was like, should I put any on here in an attempt to see if he falls for any of them? But I was like, no, I would get. And also, all the ones I found were not as quote unquote plausible as that one.
They were the obvious joke. Hey guys, we're joking.
Yeah.
Such as our first news item, because this one is actually a good one. I think it's humorous.
Yeah.
I got a chuckle out of it. Fantasy Flight Today announced Barkham Horror, the card game, The Dog Witch Legacy. which is and I'm curious, like this quote, they have a quote at the top of the article here from H.P. Lovecraft, from Cats and Dogs. And it says, throw a stick and the servile dog wheezes and pants and shambles to bring it to you. Do the same before a cat, and he will eye you with coolly polite and somewhat bored amusement. And just as inferior people prefer the inferior animal, so do superior people respect the superior animal. I'm curious if that's an actual H.P. Lovecraft quote, A. And B, knowing that he's a giant racist, I wonder if there's other undertones.
I was going to say, I'm getting some of those undertones, so probably.
Were there any mentions of Cat Thulu?
I didn't read through the entire thing because I got bored with it.
Right. This is the sort of joke that lasts like a couple paragraphs. Yeah.
Well, it's like the enemies. It looks like there's a cat constrictor, so it's like a snake but a cat.
Oh, the arachnocat.
Arachnocat. The boneyard has a giant doghouse in it.
The heroes are Wagatha Dane, Tummy Rubs Muldoon, Pupper Muttio, Jackson Pollock, and Rex Murphy. Not that Rex Murphy.
No.
Jackson Pollock is...
That's a clever pun.
Yeah, but also he's black. Wouldn't be in the game. Wouldn't be in
in the book. Okay.
Well, he wouldn't be in any of the games if it was actually made by H.P. Lovecraft. Luckily, it's made by Fantasy Flight, who actually puts very diverse casts.
Less racist.
Significantly less racist. It's not a high bar to get under, or it's a low bar to step over.
Yeah,
being less racist than H.P. Lovecraft.
Just sitting on the ground.
Yeah.
So the bad guys in this is the Order of Dead Rodents on the doorstep. That's and then they unearth they newly unearthed the book, the Necronomicon. But I like here says Barkham's only hope is the brave puppers, doggos, and good boys who will tirelessly dig for answers and sniff out the truth.
Yeah, and that's roughly where I just slowly started. I went from reading to skimming to scrolling for pictures.
Yes,
like the pentagram with a big pile of tennis balls.
Yes,
yeah. So
that is a septagram, I believe.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You are correct, sir.
I don't know if that's the right term for 5-sided, but
sounds good.
Yeah, we'll go with or 7-sided. Yeah.
You've learned the Order's true aim. They wish to make a sacrifice and invoke Bast, so the cat Gardas may merge Earth with Ulthar and create a world without canines.
So yeah.
How do you feel about cats being evil in this universe?
That makes sense.
Okay.
I buy it. Yeah.
I mean, I love cats. They are undeniably evil creatures.
I mean, you've heard me talk about how many times my cat has just turned off my computer when I'm playing. So,
excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm right here. You should be petting me.
Yes, pretty much.
So, but yeah, lots of other April Fool's board game announcements going on. It seems to be like a really popular thing in board games. Like I don't ever see April Fool's announcements from like 2K or EA about like a fake video game, but I see all kinds of board game companies announcing fake board games on
There's
April
a decent amount of video game stuff and like a lot of things from like tech companies too.
Right. Google always has one or two.
Yeah.
Because I saw another one, Fog of Love claimed to, saying Google reminded me, another one of the big ones was the Fog of Love. People were claiming to be acquired by Google because it did something. I mean, they had a whole thing about how it helps with machine learning and studying complex relationships, and it was kind of clever. But, but anyway,
you keep an eye out for this hair-raising adventure when it hits shelves on April 1st, 3019. So a scant 1,000 years away.
I mean, there are other
Place
games
your pre-order
that have a
now.
longer delivery. No.
But moving on from that, we have actual news. So we've got a couple things here. Aliens Legendary Encounter Deck Builder is getting an expansion. They are bringing Alien Covenant into the Legendary Encounters game there. It's the first expansion since 2016's expansion. Swarms, I think that one was.
It was basically, I just remember it as expansion. Like,
yeah, Swarms.
Okay.
And that was all, it was like game. It wasn't like canon or anything like that. It wasn't any specific movies. It was just like, here are two just game only scenarios.
Oh, cool.
And then adding like like flying or like some other tweaks to the different aliens. But this one, like you said, is actually pulling from the Alien Covenant movie.
Right. And that general portion of the alien timeline. So very early xenomorphs.
Right. You know what would have been a great April Fool's for the legendary one? Actually, like, would actually be a good game more than a good April Fool's is Tremors.
I would play the shit out of a legendary encounter Tremors.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would do it. Like, because the monster deck, like, I don't know what you'd have for the baddies that you'd have to keep fighting.
Well,
but it would make sense of the fact that you're like looking, like they're appearing when you're looking at shit like that.
Yeah.
So.
But there are also like, what, 4 other movies after the first one?
There's at least, if not more.
There's one that takes place in the 19th century.
Yeah,
with all the same B-list actors that are like all of the other people in the town come back to that to be their ancestors, because that's how ancestry works.
Yeah. You look exactly like the people hundreds of years before you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great grandfather Richardson looked just like me.
Yeah.
There's been no new DNA in the Richardson line somehow.
What are you telling us here?
My dad's side of the family is a bunch of fucking rednecks. I don't think any of them listen to the podcast. If so, sorry, family. We're a bunch of rednecks. Yeah. So that's new expansion for Legendary Encounters Alien.
Nothing specific other than that.
That it's Covenant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it said it looked like it was going to release in Gen Con. So.
Next up in news, coming from Plaid Hat Games, they've announced their next game, Abomination, the Heir of Frankenstein. So it takes place a few years after the book, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, 20 years after. And you are all playing up-and-coming scientists who have a mysterious benefactor come to them and basically try to get them to make more undead constructs. Whatever you want to call Frankenstein's monster. And so it's a worker placement game. You're going to be sending your little like lab assistants out around Paris to research scientific findings, charge Leyden jars, which I assume is something from Frankenstein.
Those are the whenever you see in an old sci-fi movie the like ladders of electricity. Those come from like Leyden jars are, I think, how you store electricity, like proto batteries, basically.
Gotcha.
Okay. And then seeking funding and obtaining raw materials, very raw materials, as they put it in here, aka body parts. And then you're trying to, on your own player board, which is your laboratory, you're trying to build a viable monster. And you're trying to do that before Captain Robert Walton, who made a promise to the dying Victor Frankenstein to eradicate the monster before he stops you.
Yeah.
So,
and it looks like when you're building the different parts, body parts, like they can decompose and stuff like that.
Yeah. So you got like a limited amount of time before your body rots as you're trying to build it.
The bit about, very fresh, very raw materials. I really hope that there is a specific allusion in here to Burke and Hare, the two guys that like realized that there was these brand new medical schools that were popping up in the 19th century had a like need for cadavers and started murdering people. Simon, like there's a Simon Pegg movie about them a few years ago.
Okay.
Like it's a real thing that like
Nice.
they actually did this. But now it's a Simon Pegg movie.
Well, because like even there was a Frankenstein show. I think there was a Netflix special that came out starring Sean Bean. That had that got into that a whole bunch. That as people, as the medical field was burgeoning, and they needed cadavers to work on, but it was also the time when religion was like, you can't do that to a body. It's sacrosanct.
Yeah,
you can't. That's bad. And so then they had to get all sketchy with like grave robbers or like paying poor people to be like, hey, when you die, can we cut you up? And
I mean, that's still a thing.
I mean,
a little
basically,
bit
yeah.
today, but
so
yeah, Burke and Hare were the two that went a little bit like they started at grave robbing and then were like, we need a fresher source.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Abomination will be available sometime in the summer from retailers and from Plaid Hat's own store, and you can pre-order it now. Free shipping in the contiguous U.S.
The Captain Robert Walton, is that his name?
Yes.
At the end, that the guy that's hunting everybody, like trying to stop them from building. I'm assuming that's a game mechanic and not a 1v all.
Yes.
Okay.
At least that's how it sounds.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Next up in news, this is not an April Fool's joke.
That was my initial thought.
That was also my initial thought. Pandasaurus Games has announced Machi Koro Legacy.
Well, it's not they announced it a while ago. This is just more information on it.
Okay.
Yes.
That sounds vaguely familiar to me.
Actually, now that you mentioned it, I think we did mention how ridiculous Machi Koro Legacy was when we heard about it before. Designed by Rob Davio and J.R. Honeycutt. It's going to feature new art from Noboru Hata, who did the original Machi Koro art. And their press release is interesting because they don't really tell you much, and they pretend to tell you stuff because it's like, but then you unlock censored, and you start earning a little extra income by censored, and then you start to explore the censored, and they continue like that for a while. And so I don't know. They're trying to be lighthearted with it, and it comes off odd for me, especially because it's like, dude, it's Machi Koro Legacy. Like, how much actual interesting things are going to be in that game? Like,
watch it become the definitive Legacy game.
I mean, it could surprise me.
And you're just like, fuck 18XX. I want Machi Koro Legacy.
I mean, maybe. Well, and they even say here, and this is a weird thing for them to admit to. When we first came to Rob Davio with the idea of making Machi Koro Legacy, he said no. So we asked again, and he said no. Not because he didn't want to make the game, but because he didn't have the hook on how to make the game right. And then apparently at some point he had a dream or something and figured it out. And so now they're actually doing it.
A vision from God, I
guess. It's going to be roughly a 10-game legacy game. And by roughly, I think, actually reading through this, it sounds like it's going to be exactly 10 games.
That seems
I'm
real
used
short.
to a lot of the other ones, like having, like win-lose state, like, Pandemic, you could do, it's 12 to 24. Like, so there's some variability.
Well, like Betrayal Legacy is 13. That's all, so. Charterstone is 12.
Charterstone is a solid number. I think Seafall was slightly variable, but not much.
No, I mean, I think the reason for Pandemics is because it's a cooperative one. So you can win or lose, whereas when it's competitive, somebody's winning.
Right.
Every
Fair
game.
enough.
So,
but yeah.
Is it the only co-op legacy? There are no other co-op legacies?
No.
For some reason, I thought there were others. Okay.
Not that I'm aware
the
of.
closest is Betrayal, just in the sense of it's mainly a cooperative with trader elements. So
yeah. But it's going to retail for $49.95, and it is available now for pre-order on Pandasaurus Games and will release this spring sometime. 2 to 4 players, 30 to 45 minutes a game. So, yeah, I don't know. I really, this screams to me, why?
Yeah.
In what world was somebody really like, Machi Koro needs a legacy? Like they went to Rob Davio multiple times.
Aeon's End Legacy might be cooperative, but because Aeon's End was cooperative, so.
Okay. Yeah, why, like, it's fine, okay, I've got an idea for a legacy mechanic. Let's look around for games that would work. Oh, Machi Koro would work. But, like, clearly they'd been, I don't know, maybe that was part of the joke that they went to him multiple times.
I mean, maybe.
But it didn't sound like it. But I don't know.
I mean, the entire thing, like, again, because I wasn't paying attention, I was going through all these today. The entire thing read like an April Fool's joke. Like, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. Taking just an even lighter, more watered down dice rolling Catan resource game and making it like it. I don't know. We'll see. I guess when it starts getting out, we'll hear if it's actually any good. I'll be surprised.
But you're not going to go out and buy it?
God, no. Not for $50 fucking either. Jesus. No. Anyway, moving on. Last up in news. Ben Parkinson is once again overseeing crowdfunding for the third Uganda Village board game competition scheduled for May 22nd to the 25th in Kora Borgoala in Uganda. So we've talked about this in the past. It's a board game convention in Uganda that brings a bunch of the local children together.
You keep saying Uganda.
Yeah.
And I think it's Uganda. Is how I've always
heard it as Uganda.
But
yeah.
I don't know. Megan went there. So.
Okay. And that's how she pronounces it?
I don't know.
Okay.
No, she says Uganda too, but
She might. I don't know.
I liked how you tried to sell it. You're just like, Megan went there.
I really wanted to just so that I could be right, but I don't know for sure how she actually says it.
And
She might say Uganda.
Americans tend to mispronounce
yes.
other countries' names a lot, so I'm not like, oh, trust me, I know it's definitely not Uganda. But yeah. Anyway,
well, there's also
all
tomato,
of this is
tomato, regional, different. People say washcloth in America, which is stupid and wrong.
But anyway, he says runes, so it's like a whole thing.
Exactly. This
isn't
new for me to say something different.
Yeah. Guys, this man is trying to raise money for a good cause.
Yeah.
And then Adrian derailed it with his Uganda.
It's clearly his fault.
Yeah.
I don't know. My brain does not like making that that way. Uganda. I don't know. Anyway, there's this awesome convention going on. In 2018, they had over 200 people, and they're trying to get it even bigger year after year, which is kind of what conventions tend to do. They currently have scheduled a demonstration game of Twilight Imperium, a Star Wars X-Wings miniature game, a How Long Can You Last competition in this war of mine.
Oh, fucking hell.
And a board game design workshop. One of the judges being my friend Tony Boydell, who I met at Liericon last year. And
name dropper.
I know. I couldn't help it. No, I really like Tony. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
And going kind of hand in hand with this, he has developed a new game called Firebox that he is going to ship copies of it to anyone who donates at least £30 to the Uganda board game convention. It's a really simple little game. Basically, everybody needs their own copy to play. So, but it comes in like a matchbox, and you're building a train route using matchsticks and like some little cards, and you're trying to ship goods around them. And then you use the matchbox as part of it too. Like the outer slip cover becomes a tunnel, and the box you flip upside down and becomes mountain ranges that you have to like build your matchsticks up onto or through. But everybody has like 5 minutes to build like a big network in the middle of the board, and then you ship things around on it. Really simple, really basic components, but sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
So if you pledge at least 30 pounds, you get one box, and then it's like, I think if you get up to 50 pounds, you get 6, which is the max player count. And then if you do more, he'll send you 2 full sets. So there's different things like that. They have in the link in the show notes on mygameguys.com will be the article. In that article, there's another link to his own specific blog post about that game and what the different levels of support to the Uganda Village board game fundraiser will get you what number of the games. So
that's really awesome.
Yeah. I really want to go to this convention. Like, this is now one of the conventions I want to go to the most. Like, I want to go check it out. I want to see, like what a board gaming convention in Uganda would actually be like.
How much of it is just so that you can say, hey, I've been to Uganda too?
I mean, also, I want to go. I mean, Megan loved her Africa trip was one of her favorite trips she's ever taken.
Mm-hmm.
So I would really like to go there. But I also one of the things I love about board gaming is how it brings people together.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I love like the global side of it. And so to see it, kind of take off over in Africa like that, I think is really interesting. And I'd like to see what that's like. I mean, I was amazed like when I went to Leiria in Portugal, how much different like that convention was, like how much more it was focused purely around gaming than like stuff I was used to, like Gen Con or Origins.
Yeah.
And so I like kind of seeing different types of conventions and how they're run, and how they're set up. So, and it gives me an excuse to travel, which I love to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that wraps it up. That's all the news from this week. And so on that note, we can move over to Kickstarters, where we have a few of those as well. Starting off here, we have 2020 Gaming Calendar from Scott King. It is currently funded with $5,300 of its $3,000 goal, 138 backers, and just about 3 weeks left as you're listening to this. It's the 7th board gaming calendar that Scott King has done. There's basically 2 pledges for the calendar. You can spend $26 and get the base calendar, which they have the 12 images that are used for that. I actually don't recognize all of the games in it. I recognize a few of them. Or you can pledge $36 and you pick the photos and 4 custom holidays to go in yours, and the variety of images they have for you to choose from for your 12 months is substantial.
There's a lot of them.
There's a shit ton. I think I was scrolling through here.
God, they just keep going.
Yeah, it's like 80% of the page is taken up by these photos. I went through it though, and I think I would have a hard time finding a dozen games that I would want in a calendar. Like they did have like a gallerist, they had a food chain magnate, they had a D&D, but
Catch the Moon.
Yeah, Catch the Moon's in there, but I don't like
Crokinole.
Catch the Moon enough and I definitely don't want Crokinole on my calendar.
Well, I thought we were friends.
Wow.
Everybody makes that mistake.
Yeah.
Correct.
Andrew. So
But yeah, they've got just a whole bunch of different games, and some like show up more than once, different photos. Welcome To's in there, Star Realms, Viva Java. Like, I mean, it's hundreds of games.
Yeah.
It's a lot for you to choose from if you go with that custom option. And then you can order individual prints of any of those. You can get additional copies of the additional copies of the calendar. You can add, if you're doing that custom one through the add-ons, you can add more holidays, like custom holidays. So if you wanted to make one with all of your family's birthdays as holidays or whatever, you could do that. All of those things, and shipping is included, at least in all of the add-ons. So, and they should have them shipped out by the holidays. So you'll have them ready to go in 2020.
You'll have to remember in like October that you already bought a calendar.
Yeah, not to get a new.
Yeah.
See, that's why I prefer Megan and I's strategy of wait until April to get a new calendar, because
or my thing of just not having a calendar at all. I've got a phone, so
I normally would be that way, except we tried that for the first 3 months of the year, and Megan just got tired of me constantly being like, "What days do you work this week again?" She's gotten such a weird rotating shift. There's no consistency.
You don't share a Google Calendar?
And that was always my answer, is that I need to have you just share me a Google Calendar, because she puts in her schedule at work, pulls it up, puts it in her calendar on her phone, which is probably linked to her Google account. I just need to have her share it to me. Yeah, I know
there's inefficiencies in your relationship.
There are several inefficiencies in our relationship. Luckily, I don't treat our relationship like a board game where I'm looking for the most efficient way to do it. Sometimes the inefficiencies lead to the little silly moments that make a relationship, worthwhile.
Blech.
How wise.
I almost sold that. But yeah, go check that out. 2020 gaming calendar. A lot of really good photography for you to choose from for the different months. And there's a lot of them, so go scroll through it.
If only, even if you don't want a calendar, just scroll through it to see how many you can identify and just appreciate the photography. It's really good.
Yep. Next up on Kickstarter, we have Blood on the Clocktower. Well-funded, $317,000 of its $65,000 goal, 3,500 backers, and also about 3 weeks to go on this one. You can pledge for $79 being the most popular pledge with over 3,000 backers. That will get you one copy of the game, all stretch goals, 3 game scripts, and that's it. So this game is, I kind of think is interesting.
So I watched the Shut Up and Sit Down. They did a review of this.
Did they?
They did. And Quinn said that this might be his favorite game right now.
See, that wouldn't surprise me, because already what I'm very, very interested in this is, for a long time, it was tradition at game night.
Yeah.
That at the end of the night, we just played a big group game of Werewolf with whoever was still there. So we'd regularly play 15 to 20 person Werewolf games. But it started to kind of die out because people get tired. Like, Werewolf kind of always plays out the same.
Right.
Especially once there gets to be like a weird group meta. People like Zach and I, who are like well-known people in the group, just get killed right away every time. If we're werewolves, the village kills us. If we're not werewolves, the werewolves eat us.
Yeah.
It always happens that way.
My favorite thing that happened in Werewolf is whenever there was a Cupid, almost always it would be 2 guys that got selected.
Yeah.
And
Zach and I have been lovers in Werewolf more times than I can count.
Yeah.
More times than in real life, so.
I mean, 2 would be more times than in real
but we did have a guy who came for a while that sort of muttered once playing werewolf, like I don't approve of that. And like, dude, this is a group of like 20s inner city folk. Like you are the
Denver
only
inner city folk.
Yeah. You are the only person here that has a problem with this now.
Yeah.
Well, because everybody knows if you're made a lover in werewolf, you immediately become actual gay lovers.
Yes.
Like, that's how it works. Anyway, we're not talking about werewolf. Blood on the Clocktower. The reason we have mentioned werewolf so extensively is this seems like werewolf in so many, many ways. It plays a huge number of players, 50 to 20 players.
5
to 20. I don't know where that even... 5 to 20 players.
50 to 20.
A huge number, man. It's still guided by a storyteller, not a moderator, and they explain a little bit of the difference there. And it's good versus evil, so basically like the villagers versus the werewolves kind of thing. The evil is trying to kill off all of the villagers. The villagers are trying to figure out who like the main evil devil person is in the group and kill them before the game ends.
The basics is basically werewolf. You're voting people to kill, and then the evil person kills somebody at night.
Yeah, you go to sleep at night. People with special powers wake up and do their specially power things. However, there's some significant differences. So first and foremost, right out the gate, every role is unique.
Yep.
So there are no just like villagers or like, everybody has a power.
Yeah.
Everybody has something to do.
Well, and there are like you're saying, 3 different game sets.
Yeah.
But you choose from, like, say it's like 25 things and you have like 15 people. It's like you draw from that pile of from the pile of 25, 15. So each game you could have different roles, even like
in the same story.
In the same, yes.
Yeah. So on the good team, you're basically going to have one of 3 things for your role. You'll have a skill, some unique information, or a challenge that you need to overcome. On the evil team, you'll have the ability to kill somebody, ways to spread misinformation, or other ways to thwart the good teams. And so there's going to be a lot of variability in how people use those powers too. There are mechanisms for drunkenness, poisoning, and madness, which can all affect you. So like if you're drunk or poisoned, the storyteller themselves, and this is one area where it's also different, the storyteller is actually almost a role in the game rather than somebody facilitating the game.
Nice.
So if you're drunk or poisoned or mad, they can give you false information. So like if you're a seer type character, for those of you who are familiar with werewolf, they at night get to wake up, point to somebody, and they get a thumbs up if they're a werewolf, a thumbs down if they're a villager. And so with this, if they were drunk, the moderator could like give a thumbs up that's a werewolf for somebody who's totally not a werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
And so some discord and miscommunication there. But yeah, and then like if you're mad, you're supposed to bluff and act kind of crazy. And so like there's more getting to actually play a character kind of in this one. If you die, you're not out of the game, unlike werewolf, where when you die, you get told to fuck off. You get to stay as a ghost, which gives you a bunch of different tools. You can still use your voice and your vote in different ways. And
does this take place in Chicago?
I don't know. But yeah, and so it leads to some interesting situations that they, at least from what they say here, where it might be worth it to have somebody die to get information. Like the good team might sacrifice somebody, or the evil team might kill an evil person to gain some credibility, kind of things like that. It also has the ability to enter it late through a traveler mechanic.
Oh, cool.
Where you show up as a traveler with different abilities or information as you come into the game late, which could be really good because one of the biggest problems for us when we used to do werewolf a lot is you'd go around, start building it up, and then like inevitably you'd end up waiting for one group of 5 people who all wanted to play to finish whatever game they were playing.
Yeah.
Now you can just be like, all right, you guys are going to be finishing this game for the next 30 minutes. Cool. When you come into the game, you're going to be travelers.
Yeah.
And you could start the game without them, and then they come in a little bit late. And then now the last thing, like I said, the storyteller is actually a legitimate role where you choose a story for the game. Like Trouble Brewing is their base one, and you make decisions about like what roles are going to be included, like Zach was mentioning, different information and misinformation you give out about the mission. There's other things, if you do the other 2 scenarios, the Bad Moon Rising and Sects and Violets, You can make custom information for some of the roles and things like that. And then eventually you can become your own fabled character with a special effect to dramatically change the game. So that all sounds kind of awesome to me. Like, I'm hit or miss with social deduction games.
Right.
Like, I largely think Werewolf is one of the best ones if you have the right group for it. And I do sometimes miss some of like my favorite gaming moments in our game group were late night Werewolf after an evening of gaming and drinking. Right. And something like this that could come in and really freshen that up and also add like a whole nother layer of depth to it. Sounds really cool to me.
Yeah. The one thing that I could not find anywhere in this Kickstarter, maybe you guys saw it and I just missed it. Did it have a time?
So that's the thing is it's definitely like 60 to 90 minutes.
Okay. Which was my big problem with Werewolf at the end. Like, okay, it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock. Let's start a game of Werewolf was our pattern. And, we would need to be conscious of that.
Well, no, yeah. So because everyone's engaged for most of the time, most if not all the time, you can't do it like we did Werewolf, which was like a lot of people are like, okay, well, I'm dead. Cool. I'm just going to leave because it's, whereas it's here, it seems like you want to be like, all right, we're going to be doing this at this time or setting up a night for it or something like that.
Yeah.
One thing I think is really cool is for the storyteller, the box is felt lined. And so because of that, all the tokens are felt lined too. So you can actually have all of your tokens lined up in the giant box. Like they have a couple clips on there. So it's sort of a theatrical element too of like when you're talking and all this, like you have this giant book in front of you, you know, spelling all these things, but it helps you with like, hey, this person's drunk. Like you don't have to write shit. You just put a token next to their thing and that person is drunk and stuff like that. And it looks it looks really good, but it is definitely a pricey game. Like, because it's a social deduction one, but like you said, $79. It's $17 in shipping too, or $16 in shipping. So it'd be $95, which is a lot. But
for a social deduction.
Quinn's was like, before I played it, I thought it was pricey. Afterwards, I was like, I'd like 100% worth it. But yeah.
Yeah, it's apparently been in continued development since 2014. So it's got a long time. First appeared at the Sydney Board Game Festival in 2014. So it's been around a little bit, and people have had a chance to kind of play it, and it's went through a decent amount of building and refining to actually get it to be a good game. So,
that's great.
Really looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
And last up in Kickstarter, we have Oceans from North Star Games. It is also well-funded, $245,000 of its $20,000 goal, 3,600 backers, and also about 3 weeks left to go. You can pledge this one for $70 for the deluxe edition, along with 2,600 other individuals. You want to do that. So this is a standalone game in the Evolution series. So the Evolution series is a series of games that's been around for a little while, where you're basically evolving creatures and then trying to score points with them.
I remember for that one that they wanted Oceans to be their first expansion for it, but then they're like, we can't get a good way to work on, like, to have it work out, and then they did Climate and then some other ones, and then so it looks like they're just like, and fuck it, we're just gonna have this be its own thing. So
this is the first standalone game. Like the rest of them were just expansions. The rest of the things in
to an extent, I think like there was Evolution in the beginning, which was its own sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
because I can't remember if the Climate
might have been a standalone expansion, but this one looks like it's its own.
This one is truly
its own game.
It's in the same world. It's basically similar mechanics. Like
Climate was also standalone.
Okay,
I just looked it up.
But you could play it with the base game.
Yes.
Whereas this you can't.
Yeah.
Does not seem to be the case.
Cool.
That was a standalone expansion. This looks to be just a game.
It looks gorgeous. Yeah. I mean, all of Evolution stuff.
Yes. Their art's always been really good in Evolution. So this one, you start off, and the only food source for everybody is plankton. That's like the base level. In regular Evolution, it was like plants. Everybody was just herbivores. And then you could mutate to become a carnivore and start eating other people's food supply by eating
or other
them.
people. Yeah.
And you have the prototype, at least here, which looks like they're going to be doing for the deluxe edition. You have like standalone trays that represent the different foundations of the food web. rather than the food chain down there in the ocean. They have reef and ocean boards that all kind of stand together and make that. But yeah, for anybody who's played Evolution, it's going to play a lot the same as a core game. You're defined by your population, which is represented by tokens and the traits that you develop for your species. Like this one, it's an ocean one, so you can get like Tentacled, where you can feed an additional time, or Inking, that gives you 3 defense. And then as you grow and change and like carnivores come about and start eating other ones, your species can go extinct. And you ultimately can have multiple species at a time in front of you. And so you can kind of, use one to get some points early and then let it fade away and go extinct as you build up another one to replace it. And yeah, basically still Evolution, just now ocean themed.
And it looks like there's going to be like another version of the game in here too, called The Deep, which is, about deep, like
Marianas Trench.
Exactly.
Kind of stuff. Yeah.
So a lot of they just strange and unique, powerful traits to boost your
50 unique and powerful traits.
Yeah.
So you just get real weird in the deep.
Yeah. This is true.
I really like the scenarios that like each game will have 2 of the 27 cards that will just change the base of the game a little bit.
That's good.
Yeah, which I don't know if that came from because I've only ever played Evolution. I'd never played Climate or the beginning.
Here.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was something they introduced in those ones at some point.
It seems like it could be something that Climate may have added.
Yeah. But those are things like Prosperity and Asteroid Impact could be your 2. And Prosperity would, each species can store 1 extra population, and Asteroid Impact, species lose 3 populations to the reef right at the start of the game.
Right.
And that allows for 600-ish distinct ocean histories. And then they have more that are coming potentially as stretch goals. So maybe thousands by the end of this. Who knows? Yeah, I vaguely remember liking Evolution at times and then getting tired of it. And
it was good, just not good enough to stick around, was my recollection.
It sometimes felt very luck-driven. If you drew good cards, then you got good species.
It's card-based, so but then also, I know some people didn't like the fact that people could eat other people's populations.
It was very take that.
Yeah. I do like the deluxe version of this. It comes with like acrylic fish tokens instead of the wooden ones.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Do they look like gefilte fish?
They look like acrylic
Nobody's gonna eat them.
No.
They're not. They don't look enough like jellyfish.
No.
You can just for higher levels get the art, which is pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah.
If any of the art particularly speaks to you.
Yeah, a lot of them are taken.
Okay.
A lot of them were one-offs. Like the inking painting was a one-off. The bottom feeding painting, and most of those are gone now.
Okay.
In fact,
you can basically
the
only thing left is that you can get the original of the box cover.
Yeah,
for $3,000.
But they're like
steal.
Their art.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it's I'm trying to see. They had somewhere the print size. It's a large piece of art.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you're getting a card.
Right.
Yeah.
It's something you will hang on your wall. Or you could.
If you're spending that much money on it, you damn well should. 12 by 12. Actually, that's not that big. That's only a foot.
But it's still an actual painting.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a one-of-a-kind painting from the artist. Stretch goals, they've blasted through a bunch of them. They've got some social ones left, but their next money-based one is 255,000. The invasive predator foiled deep card. Looks like most of the rest of them that are left are all more cards for the deep. So they're just getting weird with it. And you can add on all the original evolutions as well if you want those. So lots of stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that was Oceans, the standalone evolution game from Northstar. Thus, wrapping up our Kickstarter segment. We are all done with Kickstarter. Which also means we're done with news and Kickstarter.
Both. We did news. I remember that.
Yeah. We did that first, as we always do.
Yes.
Didn't really have a whole lot of listener feedback for this episode. There's nothing on BGG.
That is correct.
We did get a late email, which I'm pulling up here for Replacement Jeff to read, because Jeff's not here, so Replacement Jeff can read Jeff's email once I find it again.
To Jeff about Blood Bowl.
But replacement Jeff, where can people reach us at?
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
There you go.
All right. From Ant. This email is entitled, How? Jeff, how did you lose so badly in your match? Oh, wait, your team must be as bad at showing up for a match as you are to showing up for games and podcasts. Thanks, Ant.
Yeah.
I believe that was Burn.
Sick burn. Sick burn, as Jeff would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff didn't show up to games or podcasts.
Lame.
Bleeding from the neck.
Yeah.
That's a big problem.
Yeah, it's inside the neck. It's
exactly.
fine.
That's where blood is supposed to be.
Yeah, blood's supposed to be inside your body. As long as it stays in there, you're good.
I mean, to be fair, he was coughing it up, so it was leaving his body.
He should have stopped coughing.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like that would have solved so many of his problems that he's had recently.
Should have
like the audio on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
It would have made my life a lot easier if Jeff would stop coughing.
Yeah.
Jeff stopped coughing.
Yeah. Also, show up to your games.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, a new segment of listener feedback, live in-person listener feedback for you.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Please repeat after me. Teo.
No, I'm not gonna re-say Teotihuacan.
Teotihuacan.
Same difference.
Teotihuacan.
Teotihuacan. Just say it, Adrian.
Teotihuacan. The more you guys give me shit about my pronunciation, the more I dig in. I'm like a tick.
It's not just you though. Like all three of you have been really bad about this, and that's like
it's a very non-normal word for an English speaker to use.
It is, and I'm trying to teach you how to say it properly.
It's not gonna work.
Adrian doesn't learn. We already know that.
Yeah,
it's a key personality trait.
He's an old dog, a cynic.
Hard to teach me new tricks.
Yeah,
like pronouncing words correctly.
Yeah. Teotihuacan.
Teotihuacan.
The ruins of Teotihuacan.
Ruins full of ruins. Next up on listener feedback, now that we're done with emails and live impersonation or in-person critiques of my pronunciations.
Not just yours, both of you and Jeff. All three of you.
I don't know. The way you looked at me so focused really made it feel personal. Really made it just right in there.
Adrian, I don't like you.
Nothing new to me.
No.
Anyway, last bit of listener feedback here comes from YouTube over in Paulo's Corner. This is on the put to the question for the questioning. Paulo asks, my question is, were you expecting a question from me? And no, Paulo, we expect nothing from you, and we are still disappointed.
You should have refused to answer. It's after the Ask Me Anything.
I mean, I don't feel like it's a secret that we pretty much answer any question that we get asked at any time. It's just we occasionally are like, hey, really ask us questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time somebody asked us a question on any email that we were like, no, we're not going to answer that.
Yeah.
I mean, we've apparently spanned fan fiction now.
Yeah.
Of
apparently.
Jeff and Zach living as puppies with Paul and I as a happy gay couple once Megan's left or died. I don't remember. I don't remember what exactly happened in that world.
Hang on, this doesn't make sense. I don't think Paul has ever played werewolf with us.
I know. Yeah, Cupid is not.
Yeah.
No, he has. He did it at Game Lounge last time we were there, and he masterfully played me as he was a werewolf. Kept me alive long enough that I didn't think Paul could possibly be a werewolf, and then massacred me right at the end so that the humans lost. That was the game where we didn't kill a single werewolf the entire game.
That's
Not
bad.
one werewolf died. It was one of the worst shellackings.
Yeah.
Like, our second move of the game was to hang our seer, then we hung our tough guy, then we hung the prince, then eventually the werewolf, I think the werewolf's killed. No, I think Paul, claiming to be a human, convinced the people to hang me for being a werewolf. I was the hunter, and then I killed Jeff, who was also a good guy. And it was.
I don't know why you didn't kill Paul.
I clearly should have. He was subtle in his treacheries. But yeah. So yes, I've played werewolf with Paul. I don't think I've ever been Paul's lover in werewolf. So
more
do with that what you will. That wraps up listener feedback. If you would like to get a hold of us, there are plenty of ways to do so. You can email us.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can follow us on Twitter, where I tweet under @MHGameGuys.
I am Zach _MHGG, and Jeff is at Jeff _MHGG.
And you're still not on Twitter, right,
I'm
Andrew?
still not on Twitter.
Jeez,
I will respond about as much as Jeff will.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram /Mile High Game Guys. And you can get on BGG, where we have a guild that you can join. Guild number 2731, where Zach does weekly episode posts. And you can also go to our website, milehighgameguys.com, where there are links to all of our episodes, complete with show notes. And in those show notes for all of those episodes are links to the Slack channel, where you can come join the Slack channel and talk a bunch of shit. Mike Jones just recently joined.
Oh, awesome.
But I don't think he said anything. I get a notification when people join.
Yep.
But it's not like a real notification. Like I actually have to like scroll way down, and then Slackbot has a notification that tells me when somebody's joined. So just every now and then I'll notice that Slackbot's lit up. Like, oh, what is Slackbot trying to tell me? Oh, somebody joined. Mike Jones joined recently.
I'll just wait for it to be like, you open it up and it just says, fuck you.
I mean, probably eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of ways to get a hold of us. So go do that. Get a hold of us somehow, some way. Finally, we'd like to thank our Wednesday sponsors, Gray Fox Games. Quality games, cleverly crafted. We don't have any fancy prepared statement because I'm not Jeff. We don't even know if Jeff's still alive at this point. I haven't heard from him in like 24 hours.
If you were Gray Fox, he'd still be alive.
You're not wrong.
Just always crafting quality games.
Yes. But Gray Fox's newest Kickstarter, Tsukuyumi Full Moon Down, is still going. You got about a week left to go on that one. We reviewed it a couple weeks ago, so if you would like to hear what we thought of it, you can go listen to our review.
And if it helps at all, Paul was not interested at all in playing the game, and then after listening to the review, he's like, I guess I should probably try out that game. If that's not a ringing endorsement, I don't know what it is.
I really like that we actually got included
like,
on the Kickstarter. Well, I got included on the Kickstarter. Just saying, holy bleep, it's a good game. Which then also links to the review episode of it, where you can hear me say that in person without the bleep.
So you can find out
too much work.
Yeah.
Since we last talked about it, they have unlocked a whole bunch of new stretch goals. They have unlocked 40 new faction events, where each faction gets 5 new cards to substitute for their event cards. They have unlocked changing all of the cards to 310-gram Black Core, even more alternative goals, and a bonus unlock of Hunter and Kron, a legendary Oni that looks to be from some kind of a comic. I don't know what Hunter and Kron are. I've never heard of them. And they're less than $10,000 away from a legendary Oni Skybound. That's going to be a giant like dragon Oni.
Nice.
That can destroy entire tiles.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So that's the last one that they have listed as well. So once they unlock that, I don't know if they'll announce more stretch goals for the last week or if they will just be done with stretch goals. We'll see. But yeah, go check it out. Tsukuyumi Full Moon Down on Kickstarter right now. From, again, our sponsors, Gray Fox Games. So that's the episode. We're done. You've survived coming into the studio yet again, Andrew.
I'm sitting in Jeff's seat, so I'm assuming it's going to give me some bad luck, but I'm still alive.
I mean, I guess technically you're sitting in Jeff's seat because you swapped places, but you're at least not breathing in the same mic that Jeff speaks into. So the bronchitis shouldn't be on that mic.
No, it's whoever sits there in your MHDD.
Which we're not doing for like 2 more weeks.
Oh.
We're not recording for 2 more weeks.
Okay.
So hopefully the bronchitis will die by then. Jeff will be back in that seat before, so maybe he'll just get bronchitis again. By then. I don't know how bronchitis works.
That seems apparent, yeah.
But that's the episode. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. As always, I've been your host, Adrian.
I'm still Zach.
And I'm not Jeff. I'm Andrew.
Bye.
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 Media, where we all
bring something
to the table.
Pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.